Hello everyone, this is the video where I show you how to create a REST API using the Lambda function in 8 clicks. Previously I made a video on how to do this, and it was a very thorough video where I went into API Gateway and talked about all the different options that you can set and how to hook it up into a Lambda function. So if you're looking for a more thorough walkthrough, go ahead and check that video. I'll put that in the description section below. But the intention of this video is to show you how to very quickly get started using a Lambda function in API Gateway to create a REST API. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm currently in the Lambda section of the AWS console, and I have a Lambda function that I created previously, just called the REST demo. This was created using all the defaults, so I didn't really do anything special here. Just clicked on next a bunch of times. I did make a small code change here, and I just want to walk you through exactly what's happening here. So this is the main entry point to our Lambda function. It's called Lambda handler, passing in the event and the context. This is nothing new. And I'm returning a call to this function, to the respond function, and passing in hello world. Take a look at what respond does, takes in this case, hello world, and this returns a well-formatted RESTful response. So we have a status code of 200. We're setting the body to be a JSON string, and then we're just setting the correct headers. Okay, so this is what is going on in the Lambda function. I'll paste this code in the description section below as well, so you don't have to copy it out of the video. So that's what we're starting with. And now we want to actually go ahead and create the trigger, which is going to be a API gateway in this case. So I'm going to try to do this in 8 clicks or less. So add trigger, and then we're going to click on select trigger and set API gateway. And yep, we want to create an API, and we're going to be using a REST API in this case. In terms of security, it's open. You can also select IAM or API key if you want a different security protocol, but just for a demo purpose, open is totally fine. There's also some additional settings that you can kind of go through here if you want more fine-grained detail on how the trigger is going to be set up. I'm going to be leaving it all default in this case. Pretty sure this was less than 8 clicks. I'm not sure now, but yeah, someone can count and let me know in the comment section below. So that's pretty much it. I mean, you're just going to click on add now, and it's going to spit out a REST API. It's going to be a URL that maps to this function now. So we go down here, we can see that's exactly what happened. We have an API endpoint, and it's just this random string here. So if we click this, we can do that in a new tab. We should see, yeah, so it spits out hello world. That's exactly what we were returning in the response. So that's by default a GET API because we're doing it through the URL up here. So what if you want to do something a little bit more interesting, which is a POST API, and you want to pass some contents in the body? That's a very common use case for a lot of applications. So let's walk through how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to close this tab now. I'm going to go back to the code section, functions, REST demo, and okay, so let's scroll down here. So I'm going to be using a tool called Postman to make my requests, my put requests, or my post requests rather. So let me bring it up here. So this is Postman. Like I said, if you haven't used this before, this is just basically a tool that allows you to make RESTful API calls, and allows you to set all the headers, set the body if you want, any authorization tokens, anything that you want. Just makes it easier so you don't have to write some code just to make an API call. So we want to use post in this case, right? And I said that I wanted to pass in some contents into the body. So we're going to go to body. I'm going to keep it as raw. And let's say I want to say person ID. I want to pass in the person ID. And let's just say it's an integer, it's 51. And the person name of this person ID is John Doe. Right? So maybe this API takes in this information and writes it to a database or something somewhere, right? So this obviously isn't going to work. We need to get the request URL, which is the API trigger. Let's go back actually and grab that. I think I missed copying it. I did. So let's take this guy, go back into Postman now, go back here, put in the URL, and we are pretty much set up. So this isn't going to change the response. Obviously, I still had hello world in the Lambda function if we go back over here, right? Go back into the thing here. And we're still returning hello world, right? So this isn't obviously what we want. So let's take this out, and let's just return the raw event back. So what's happening is that I'm using Postman to send a request, and it's going to hit this Lambda function, and then I'm going to return it back to the caller. So what we should see is what was originally passed into the Lambda function returned as the output of the Lambda function, if that made sense. Hopefully it did. And it will make more sense once we execute this in a second. So now let's go back to Postman and actually click on send. And we should see if everything worked. Scroll down a little bit here. So this is the arguments essentially to your Lambda function, what it's receiving. And you can see here there's different methods. There's a post method. If you were to change this to get and then use that, you'd get the different method there. If you change this to delete, you get the delete. So this, by using the HTTP method as a kind of filter, you can filter out different RESTful methods. So the post, the get, the delete, anything that you want, and make any different actions that you want associated with those different types. So in this case, I just want to post some information into the Lambda function. So let's look at where the actual data got sent. There's a lot of jazz here, some specific to AWS. So yeah, so it's in the body, right? And we have the person ID, which is 51, and the person name, which is John Doe. So that's kind of what we want to extract from our Lambda function. So let's go ahead and do that. So in the Lambda again, so let's say the body, right? The body is going to be the event and body content, right? Because that's what we had in the response. So we have the body here, and we want to get out the person ID. Problem is the body, it's a string, a JSON formatted string. So we need to convert this into a JSON object in Python so that we can extract the correct field out of this map. So let's do that. So now we have a string stored in body, which is, it's formatted in JSON. So now we need to extract the person ID out of it. And the way we can do that is we can say json.loads, and we'll say body. So now we have a Python dictionary object. Now we can say take the person ID out of that. And then we can just return the person ID. So hopefully if this worked, I'm going to click on save. If we call this method again, it should return whatever we passed in as the person ID, which was 51. So let's try that and see if it worked. And we got 51 back. So if you like this video, check out the one on the right-hand side here for a more in-depth walkthrough on how to set this up. And also, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on next week's video. Thanks so much, folks, and I'll see you next time.